Welcome to the Bookish Spell, your cozy corner for all things bookish. I'm Angie, your host, and each week I'll be diving into the magical world of books, sharing reviews, author interviews, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday, so grab a cup of coffee and get ready to turn the page with me. Well, welcome in on the Bookish Spell Podcast. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. All right. So how are things with you?
It's been a whirlwind. I was definitely looking forward to this. It's kind of been keeping my spirits up. On my release date, craziest thing happened for Away with Darkness. The second floor of my house caught fire.
Oh.
So, and the craziest thing about it is it was unfortunately a candle. And my book, my book was right behind it and went up in flames.
Oh Lord.
Like, it was really dramatic. I mean, obviously it was terrible and traumatic and all that, but now I'm like better, I'm settled, we're good. But like, how crazy is that? It was my book on my release day.
Oh, girl.
So I'm using it as a sign to say, you know, we're burning that. It's out in the world. It is no longer on my heart. I can put it out there and people can enjoy it and I can let it go. So
yeah, I mean, and especially with your book title, Away with Darkness, that was definitely a way of like, I'm here.
It sure went up in flames.
Wow, well, that's terrible. I hope your house is okay.
It's actually, as we speak, being gutted. The upstairs, the downstairs is fine, thank goodness.
Okay.
Everyone's safe. I'm safe. The kitties are safe. They did have to go to the vet for a little bit, but they're okay. They're very mad at me, but you know, as they should be, I guess.
Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that, and I do hope things get better for you.
Thank
and
you.
You can really feel the full experience and excitement of launching your book. And this is your first debut?
It is. It's my first novel ever. I don't even know how I started. Like, all of a sudden I just was writing a book.
Okay, that's what was my question to you, because your Instagram bio is very unique, and it's been like in my mind since we scheduled this, like, how did this happen?
Yeah, I think, what does it say? I guess I write books now.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Away with Darkness is, and you got to read it, is all about healing and finding the light in the darkness, basically. And I really started writing just because I needed an outlet to kind of get things off my chest, to, you know, talk about some of my own trauma, things like that. And it kind of started as journaling, started as like storytelling, and then kind of ended up getting it out there as a whole story. So that's where it came from. And all of a sudden I had a whole manuscript and I was like, well, I guess I should keep going. And then I did.
That's amazing to hear. So I guess when you started to write the book, it wasn't intentional to turn it into a story. It was just you kind of, did you plan to be an author or thought about being a writer at all?
No. And it kind of makes me feel bad because I know so many people that are really they really want, this is what they want, or they're struggling with it, or, you know, like they don't have the time to write, things like that. And that's what they wanted. I've always been a storyteller. I went to acting school.
Nice.
So, and there's so many different outlets of storytelling. And I finally just found the one that feels right to me. I just didn't know it until, you know?
It's amazing to hear. It really is. And your book was wonderful. I enjoyed it. I was actually rereading the first page of the prologue this morning, because I remember when I first initially read it, it was so captivating. Just that first page.
Oh, good.
I want to see what's happening next, and it keeps you wanting to turn the page. So I enjoyed your book, and I do hope you continue to write more.
I've got some stuff up my sleeve, that's for sure.
I'm happy to hear that. So another question that came to mind, what did you do professionally before publishing your book?
So I'm still just, working full time, and
Mhm.
writing in my spare time. But before COVID hit, I actually worked for Walt Disney Company down in Florida.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, for 6 years, I worked in entertainment and shows and parades. So I did costuming and I trained all of our new incoming cast members, things like that. So, like I
Oh,
said, storytelling has always been a big thing for me. Disney is all about storytelling. So it's
yeah.
always been there. It's just I needed the right outlet.
Mm-mm. Oh, I love that. Definitely big Disney fan in my
Are
household.
you?
He's very big.
As you should be. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't go wrong with Disney, right?
Cool. We're such a big Disney fan, and we go to Disney if not once, then twice a year. Like it's usually 1 to 2 times a
Do you?
year. I go to Disneyland because
Okay.
I was in Seattle, but I just moved back home to Phoenix, and it's even closer drive to get to Disneyland.
Yeah.
So we go there pretty often, so much that I have so much videos that maybe earlier this year I created a whole social media about our Disney vlogs.
Oh my gosh, how fun. Well, and Disneyland, I've only been there once, but it's a really special place. Like obviously I love Disney World, but
Mhm.
there's something extra special about Disneyland.
It's just because it's like the original and there's so much history there.
Yeah.
And
And it's
then,
as touristy and I mean obviously you've got tourists, but like
yeah.
it's just a little bit more free flowing, I feel like.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely different than Disney World, although I do hope to go back to Disney World soon.
Good time.
Maybe the end of next year. Waiting for my daughter to be a little bigger
Yeah.
because
That's
right
it.
now there's no way I'm going to take her to Disney World 5 days in the parks.
Well, you want them to enjoy it and remember it as much as you can. So
Yeah,
yeah, you
she's
gotta
still in
find
that
it
age.
opportune.
Like she's still in that age, where she just like runs off and doesn't understand like you guys did with your family.
Yeah.
So maybe next year.
Maybe next.
All right. So I do want to ask you, do you have like a set of writing routines, or do you like have like a ritual in a way when you
Sort
begin
of.
writing?
I because of the way I started writing, like I really don't have any background in writing. I took some writing classes in college, things like that. So
Yeah.
like I kind of write just the way I want to write and I don't really abide by any like specific rules or things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
when I started writing, I just started writing a chapter and just went with it. So when I do write, I force myself to write a chapter each time.
Oh, nice. Very
Yeah,
disciplined.
because I feel like I have to get like the emotion and the connection to the characters is really important to me.
Mhm.
So I don't like pausing and stopping in that. So typically when I start to write, I have a whole playlist for each chapter I write and I get music on and try to get into like the mood of that.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And then I force myself to sit and write a whole chapter. So even if that's 3,000 plus words, that's what I'm doing for the day.
Mm.
And I hold myself accountable to it just because I feel like it makes so much of a difference,
Mm-hmm.
like when you're the writing flow, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. Because I feel like even just from a reader's perspective, when you're sitting there and reading the story for a while, you really immerse yourself into the story rather than stopping and starting, stopping and starting.
Right.
I get what you're saying with the
So
whole.
that's why my chapters are a little shorter too, because I like to kind of complete the scene and move on rather than have it, so you can sit down and read 3 chapters and say, okay, I can stop here and do what I need to do with the rest
Oh,
of my
yeah.
life,
Yeah. It is hard sometimes to read the really long chapters.
because you want to keep reading.
Yeah. I do prefer the short chapters because it makes me feel like I'm making progress.
That too, yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions to you was about your character development. Like, do
Yeah,
you just start with a clear vision of a character or does it like evolve as you're writing it?
it evolves. I feel like I kind of, just because of the nature of this book, And me kind of writing my own experiences and traumas into it. I know that sounds really heavy, and the book is heavy, but I think in a comforting, light way, I hope. But I think that they kind of evolved from people in my life, and I definitely wrote about what I wish would have happened and what I wish I had, rather than, so I took what I had and kind of spun it into what I needed. And that's kind of where my character stemmed from.
Right. That's very interesting. I was talking with somebody, lady last week, actually, about that, how I would imagine, like, especially like writing romance novels, because she writes romance, how people, that is probably why there's such a big, so many of like authors who write romance. There's a lot of romance books, because it's almost like you're getting to write what you want to happen versus what actually happened to you.
For sure. It's the fantasy part, but it's also like the people that you wish you could explore that you don't have access to.
Yeah.
You know? Because like a lot of times we're stuck in our little communities and we don't get to branch out, but you don't get to meet those people that, you know, across the seas, or people that are different than you. And so like that's a whole way to explore a whole different kind of person, and someone you might never meet before.
Exactly. Love it. All right. So have you ever experienced writer's block? And if you have, what do you do to kind of overcome that?
Sort of. With Away with Darkness, I did not. I truly did not, because I had never wrote before. I had never really talked to people in the writing community. I was like, what are these people doing? Like, why can't they write? But I promise I have experienced it now, so I've been humbled.
Okay.
And I actually was just talking to someone last night. She's writing her first novel, and she's getting towards the end, and she's like, how did you just finish like the book? It's hard to wrap up an ending, just because you start second guessing everything that you've been leading up to, things like that. And I feel like when I started, because I've been writing 3 other manuscripts that in the series. Yeah, surprise.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. Thanks.
But I wrote the last one first, and then have been filling in. And I think when I started writing, especially the second one, because it is a retelling of the first from a different point of view.
Oh, nice.
I was so done with editing with the first one. I was like, this is just ridiculous. I don't want to ever read the story ever again. And I'm pretty sure I even said, let's just burn it and call it a day. And that's, ironic.
That was one of those, careful what you wish for.
May not. But honestly, I think I'm just really hard on myself. So because I am so determined to write a chapter each sitting, I will not sit down to write it all if I know I don't have the time. And when I do, I'm like, just write it. There's no excuses. And even if it's terrible, even if it doesn't make any sense, at least I have something there that I can work with and shape, and then we'll go from there. There's definitely been lots of wine nights where I just, have a glass of wine and see what flows out. But sometimes you just can't do anything about it, and you just have to walk away and take the loss.
That's pretty nice to hear, especially how motivated you are and determined. So I feel like this will help motivate a lot of writers, especially inspiring writers, as I'm aspiring a writer myself.
Yeah.
And I tend to get really lost whenever I kind of sit down to write, and I find myself focusing or fixating on the writing program. What am I going to write on?
Yeah.
And like I'll try a bunch of different things, and then it's just like, whatever. And then I stop.
Okay.
I love your determination to really just get it done. That's really impressive.
And I even said too, I think it kind of helped her. Maybe, I don't know. She seemed to get a good chunk of words out last night, so I was proud of her. But I told Katie, I was like, don't worry about what other people are going to think of it. And obviously that sounds cliche, but write what you need to hear, not what other people. Yeah. And I think that helped me to get through some chapters too, because it's when you're writing, especially your first draft, it's for you. It's not for anyone else. So like, write what you want to hear, not what other people are going to want to hear.
That's helpful, because I feel like back when I was as small as like 15, I have righted and trashed up until now, and I'll be 35, and it's always like, oh, no one's going to hear this, and I just delete it, trash it.
No idea though. What if like that 3 people out there needed to hear words, and if you trash it, no one's going to.
Yeah. Oh, that's some good advice. I'm gonna try it.
No, seriously, you've got, honestly, just write what you need to hear, even if it's like a paragraph and it starts something. You might be inspired by something, or you might just say, well, that was kind of stupid and I'm just gonna move on, and like that's okay too.
Yeah. So and a question I do have for you is if you faced any challenges with writing, like say for instance, like what you want your story to be about.
Oh, sorry about the noise.
No, I didn't hear it. You're fine. Okay. Like you want your story to be about, but you can't put it into words. Like, have you faced challenges like that, and what would you recommend?
Not really. I think only because of the nature of my book, it was so personal. I think maybe if I was writing something less personal, I might have come across that, but because it was coming from me, it was so personal. I haven't had that experience yet.
Good.
So, but like I said, I think just because this series is so personal to me, I can't really say that wouldn't happen to me in the future.
Well, I mean, I guess like you can say you figured out what works for you. Is just writing stories that are really near and dear to your heart, really personal to you. And look how you're just you're going for it, girl. So good job on that. Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, it's easy to write, but it's not easy to share. That's the hard part.
Yeah, I gathered that. So how do you balance?
At some point, they screw it and put it out there and call it a day and hope that someone likes it.
Yeah. Well, you did an amazing job so far, and I do look forward to reading the rest of the series. I'm really excited to hear that.
Your review was so sweet. Like I woke up that morning and cried because I was like, oh my gosh. I was like reading it. I was like, oh my gosh, can I read this book? It sounds so good.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. I definitely have a way with saying a lot of words. I talk a lot.
You're definitely a writer. It's in you. You just gotta let yourself be it.
Hopefully one day, maybe I'm one step closer.
You are. I think you're a lot closer than you think you are.
Oh, thank you. That's kind of you. So I do want to ask you, how do you balance like the creativity with like pressure and deadlines? Like, does it block your creative flow when you feel like you got a deadline or you're pressured to get something done?
Yeah. As an indie author, and because I don't have any deadlines.
Oh, right. You're an indie author.
Yeah. I get more done in a shorter amount of time without deadlines than if I put deadlines on myself.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Because then I'm writing for me, like we talked about, instead of, because as an indie author, like there's no pressure.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to publish a book if I don't want to. I mean, obviously people might be disappointed if I didn't come out with another one. Yeah, deadlines, like I just don't put them on myself because I feel like it just kind of blocks things.
So being an indie author, which actually before I ask my question, I have to say that pretty much every time I've read a indie author book, the story is always like a million times better than I hate saying this, a traditional published book, but indie authors tend to be my favorite. Like the stories are just so magical. They really are.
Because I feel like when you go through like traditional publishing, or at least what I've noticed or like talked to writers, is like it gets away from you.
Yeah.
And with indie authors, it's just us. Like, it's our heart and soul. And we're like, I did, unfortunately, all my own editing. There's still
That's
a lot
what I
of
was going to ask you. Like, how did you do like the revising and all that?
it's the writing itself was easy for me. It's the editing and everything, because I'm not an editor. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a editor. And I at some point I just had to say, like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. I can revise it as I can on Amazon. But after a while, because you're reading the same thing over and over again without a second pair of eyes, like, you just miss stuff. And that sucks. But at least I'm not having someone else like tell me how something should flow, or like what it should feel like, or taking chunks out that I thought were important just to make the page count smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big part of it too, is like, you don't have to like lose things as an indie author, because it's whatever you want it to be,
Mm-hmm. So did it take you a long time to do all the editing, and you've done it totally by yourself? Like, no.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot from this first book, because I learned that I'm absolutely impatient and terrible at editing.
Mm-hmm.
I did like 4 or 5 passes, and I'm still finding mistakes, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was really disheartened by it, but at this point, after everything, I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. It was my heart and soul. No one else looked over it. I did the best I could, and I just hope that people can skip over those and enjoy the story for what it is.
And yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, like, why does it have to be so perfect if you're getting the story across?
Right.
Your readers.
I mean, obviously there's like big stuff you don't want to be missing or whatever, but like, there's, you'll always find like there's a no space between one word or something. Like, there's always stuff like that. And it is what it is, because you read over the same line a million times, your brain already starts to like just correct it itself, like edit. And
oh yeah, definitely.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, even like big publishing houses, like books that I read, there's still typos. Yeah, there still is.
Team. Imagine just my laptop, like trying my.
So being that you had to edit it, you've done everything by yourself.
Yeah.
Did it take a long time from like start to publish?
Sort of. I mean, for me, my timeline is weird, because I didn't have any intentions of publishing this book. So I wrote it like a year and a half ago, in maybe like the second draft of it. I got it done in like 4 months.
Okay, not too bad.
Yeah. And that it wasn't until then that I started like, okay, I really actually might want to do something with this, until like a year later. So it took me about 5 to 6 months to like actually write the story. And then after that, it took me like a year to edit everything and like really revise it and make it into something that I could put out.
That's really impressive. So is there any advice that you would give another aspiring author of maybe what tools you use, or what's a mistake that you made that you would avoid for your future books?
So many mistakes. I use Readsy online, which honestly sometimes is annoying, because it doesn't always save correctly. And I just realized that I did a revision on Amazon right after my release, and 3 whole paragraphs at the end were cut out. Yeah. So like 2 people that bought a book got the right. So I'm like sending them. It happened to be family, so we're okay.
Okay, good.
We're fixing it. But it's like that, or like when you don't have like a team of people checking things, it's easy to miss. Yeah. But there's always good and bad. Like, I love Readsy because it's easy. You can find people to help you edit your book there, because there's a marketplace to hire people.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it really helps to outline chapters, so you can kind of do outlines and all that good stuff. But if you don't save it properly, you might miss some things. It helps. It also formats it automatically for you to PDF and to an EPUB, which is awesome. And thank goodness I had this, because if I had everything on Word or anything else, I would have lost everything. My 3 scripts because of the fire.
Oh, right. Because now it's like saved in the cloud,
Exactly. And so and who knows how hard that would have been to retrieve. So I know it's saved. I can work on Readsy from any computer. It's easy. But I think my biggest takeaway from everything is, if you don't have the money to spend on editing, which a lot of indie authors like me, we don't, at least spend it on proofreading.
Really?
Yeah. Because right now I'm so proud of my story, but I'm also a little bit embarrassed by my proofreading skills. So
I feel like your story was so good, it makes up for that.
Well, thank you. I mean, but we're all more hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Fact. So, I mean, that's what I would say is, if you can't spend the money to hire through the rest of the proofreading and editing process, definitely do it for proofreading.
Okay, that's interesting. So you said that you use Freevee, it's called?
Readsy. So it's RDY. Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, there's this another writing one called No Floor. It's like NOPLR, it's called.
Okay.
The aesthetics of it looks really nice.
Yeah.
Curious to hear someone's feedback about it. But they have this on there. You set up a time of when you want to write and how many days of the week you want to write.
Yeah.
And it will remind you. And then it has a whole community of other people writing their books. So you can talk with other people. It looks pretty nice if you want to check it out.
Might.
I'm gonna text it to you.
Readsy has a little sort of, it's definitely a loan, but you can put in your goals for the day, the week, how many, stuff like that. But it's very big.
Yeah, I'll check that one out too. I signed up for the one I'm telling you about, No Floor is called. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
I didn't stick to my goal.
It's okay. And guess what?
It's eventually one day. Oh, that's funny. All right.
Start writing for you instead of what other people are wanting to read, then you'll get more.
I'm definitely going to try that and see where it goes. Because let me tell you, my writing days are so old that it was back when I would use a notepad and a pen.
Well, maybe that's what you need to go back to for a little bit.
Maybe.
I mean, it's going to be annoying to transcribe, but maybe to get the juices flowing.
Maybe you're right, but I feel like I went so long without actually writing with a pen. A signature when you go out and eat on a bill. Yeah. But to sit there and actually write, I feel like the muscle memory from my brain to my head.
Yeah.
Doesn't remember how to write letters properly. It's so strange.
Ramps up so quickly now. I used to write so many notes for school and everything, and now I'm I write 3 words. I'm never mind.
Yeah, right? Exactly. It's so strange. So I don't know. Maybe my actual writing days are over on physical pen and paper.
Oh well, maybe yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we kind of talked about this. That was one of my questions. Was your editing process? But you kind of explained that already.
The worst.
Thank you.
That was my problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you kind of overcame that and found what worked for you and actually got your book, published.
Yeah.
So leads me to my next question is, how do you handle the business side of being an author, things like marketing, promotions? All yourself.
It's all myself. I've been mostly on TikTok, and it's really building community.
Good.
Because I feel and there's so many people that are going to tell you, we don't want to hear about your book a million times. You don't post about your book enough. Honestly, you can't listen to everyone. You can't make everyone happy. People are going to want to listen to your book people are going to not want to listen about your book. And those people are not your market anyway. So don't listen to them. And the people that truly care about your writing and about your book and things that are coming out, those are the people that you're marketing. So there's no point in trying to please the crowd that is going to be picky and tell you that you shouldn't be talking about your work.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing I've learned. And I think a lot of it too is just, like I said, community and connecting to people as much as you can.
So do you think you plan on finding like a publisher for your other books, or you want to stay like a self-publisher?
You know, honestly, I thought about it, and at first I was like, oh, I'm just scared to do it. And I'm so glad I didn't, because lately I've been trying to read a lot more. And I'm just so disappointed by books that are that are published.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
Just I'm sure that at some point the book was fantastic and they had a great story, but I just continually seem to be disappointed by traditionally published books. Well, I don't even want to go that way. And it's much anyway.
Oh, but yeah, did you have to pay for for a publisher?
It depends. Like, especially when you're getting into things, I believe.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, and like, get a deal and like to edit it enough to even for them to like even want to look at your book, to even consider, like, you have to spend the money first. So, I mean, you can't just kind of hand them a rough draft. No one's going to want to look at it, unfortunately. So you end up having to spend the money anyway. So you might yourself, right?
Exactly. And I feel like with the power of social media, you can continue to do it on your own.
Yeah.
You can.
And more power to us.
Exactly. Like, I feel like it is more of an accomplishment, and it is amazing to hear that you're doing all of this totally on your own. So like, what was the most surprising part about the publishing process?
That I want.
Good question, good answer.
Like, I honestly, I'm so
don't believe that it happened.
Right. I'm so baby new to this that I'm still like, I don't know how I did that. I'm still like trying to figure out like how to do corrections, and like I feel bad even talking about my book sometimes, because people have been working on their works for so long, and I'm like, oh yeah, I just wrote it in like 6 months and pushed it out. Like, I think I just got really lucky this time.
Well, I think it definitely helped a lot because you weren't so hard on yourself and you really just done it. I mean, look at from my perspective, this is like 15 years of having ideas flow in and out of my head and never actually make anything out of it. So I feel like it's super inspiring to people who are more difficult on themselves and are their biggest critic, and then it stops them from publishing.
It's like I said, I don't want to be that person that's like, oh yeah, it was so easy, because it wasn't. It was not easy.
So I imagine the editing and all that sounds very hard.
But at some point you also have to just give yourself grace and be like, you know what? I've just been too hard on myself. Let me just write this book for me. And if it goes nowhere, fine. If it does great, that's awesome too. But like, you have to get past that point, You have to just kind of say, screw it. I'm writing this book for me, whatever happens to it happens.
So do you ever struggle staying motivated, or you just feel like you're just super motivated to get it done?
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky too. Like, I don't have kids. Not in a relationship right now. I live by myself. Well, I did live by myself. I will live by myself again. So like, I don't have the distractions that other people would have. Like, I have a lot of time for myself.
Girl, you're living the dream right now. Let me tell you.
Like, in that way, I'm lucky because, all those things add to the time that takes up. So you never feel like you can just relax and like write a story for yourself, because you have so many other responsibilities. And I'm just very fortunate that I have that time.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
I promise it's just lucky.
But everything happens for a reason. So I have a feeling we're going to see a whole lot more of you.
I hope so. I'm having the best time with this. So
Good.
I found a new laptop today. I can
Job.
actually start writing again. So feeling renewed.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. When can we expect the second book?
Well, the bare bones of it is finished.
Nice. Good job.
But it has a lot to go. Because when I wrote it, I had already started changing the first one a little bit. So I have to go in and kind of edit all the dialogue and stuff to make sure it matches, because it is Away with Darkness from Nathan's point of view, from our MC.
Oh, nice.
So we get a lot more of his story and his time in jail and his connections to his other friends and Leighton and how they became close and things like that.
Oh, wow. I'm so excited to hopefully read that soon.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I'll just send it over and you can tell me what you think about it.
You want me to help you proofread?
I'll
be your editor.
Here's a chapter. Tell me what you thought.
I will do it for you.
For you, honestly, I think that's the best way. If we don't have the money for it, let's just start exchanging manuscripts and helping each other, because it's not that I don't want to do the editing. It's that it's really hard after a pass or two to not see the same mistakes over and over again and just skip over them, because your head just, your brain automatically corrects it as you read.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that you probably, could think about. That was actually one of my questions for you. If you've ever had beta readers and then listened to their input on what they should.
I didn't
know
the process at all. Even I just found out about ARC readers and things like that. So it was very last minute for me. And I kind of have just been going at the seat of my pants, hoping for the best. So definitely with my next book, I have a lot more to focus on. And I know the process that needs to take place.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, especially with all your ARC readers that you had.
Yeah.
I'm sure we would love to read in advance.
Yeah. And my other readers are definitely hey, when's the next one? So
yeah, exactly. Well, that's a fun process. And I am actually loving that you're building this community.
Mm-hmm.
And you're definitely doing things a little bit different than the norm when it comes to publishing book, which I feel like that you should talk more about that, because it will inspire so many authors to kind of just get up and start doing it. Because I feel like a lot of people focus on, well, I got to take a creative writing course, or, I got to learn new words, and I got to, figure out a good writing platform. It's it's very confusing.
Yeah, honestly, I have taken a few writing classes in college, but honestly, they didn't help me with this at all. If you have a story in you, write it. We're human beings. We are born to tell stories and communicate and to share. And I happen to that, all the technical stuff just doesn't matter. You can proofread it, you can, change around wording later on. But when you're first coming to that writing and writing out the story, it's really just all about storytelling and connecting to other humans. And I feel like we lose that. And maybe
I agree with you.
I didn't know anything about what it's supposed to be, or how I'm supposed to do things. So I just did it my way.
I love it.
But maybe someone else might want to try just my way, and they might actually book out. I don't know.
You're definitely really inspiring, and I know other people listening to this is going to take this advice into consideration, because I, on a personal level, know a lot of people who are wanting to write and publish a book and just struggle with putting the effort, because they just feel like they're going to be judged super harsh, know? And
if you stop worrying about that, the sooner your book done.
Yeah, because you really got to think about it. Even, traditionally published authors, indie authors, they put in all this work and sometimes receive very little feedback. So I feel like being super hard on ourselves to get that published for the little bit of engagement that most authors do get is hard. So, but I love your like attitude and whole demeanor about it. There definitely needs to be more people like you out in this book world. So I hope you inspire others.
And I feel like if we have people that are watching this and inspired by it, like I would love to chat with people and just like and share your stories with me, and I'd give feedback, and like truly it's really about community and helping each other. So I'd love to chat with anyone who wants to reach out and see my process or talk about their process, and really open.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I'll make sure and put all your handles and all that in the description.
But apparently I'm a writer now.
Yes. Literally my favorite bio I've read this year. It was too good. All right. So your books do explore a deep emotional journey. How do you tap into those emotions when writing? But I feel like we kind of established this is like stuff you've been through.
It is. And honestly, I know this sounds kind of silly, but it's also about all of my acting background. I worked for many years on how to explore people's wants and needs and their inner turmoil. And for me, that's like comes very easy because I did so much work. So I guess you could think about that as like, those were my writing classes rather than sitting down and taking a writing class. It was acting and learning how to really peel back layers of a character and understanding them. And I know lots of people have different processes on like how to develop their character, but like, I guess I just started with a human being and dove into like the grays of everything. And no one's perfect. I think I wanted a character that resonated with a lot of women who have gone through abuse in their past or SA, things like that. And I know it's a lot to talk about, but I wanted to write from a place of healing. So that's kind of why I started where I did with my book. I started after the action because it's all about saying goodbye to the past. It doesn't matter what happened. It's about the healing journey afterward. So I guess like tapping into human emotion and needs and wants was really important to me. And that's kind of where that character development came from.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, that's amazing. And I'm sure writing your book was your way of healing and just moving forward.
For sure. And honestly, I'm already thinking about things like other things in my past. I started writing a story. And honestly, it might not even ever come out, but just kind of like literally killing off my exes.
Oh, that actually would be a fun series. Not gonna lie. I would be interested in watching that, listening to that.
Watch them go. It's all right. They're gone. They were written on page. They're killed off in the book, and we're gonna call it a but like maybe that because everything I write is from such personal experience or people and characters that I truly connect with so deeply, I think it kind of reflects on the page and it makes it easier to connect with those characters as well as readers.
I love it. I'm definitely excited to see more of you. All right, Zoe, where can your readers purchase your book?
Right now, they are on Amazon. I'm trying to get TikTok shop stuff going, but it's been kind of a bumpy road last few weeks. So right now they're on Amazon, internationally too. So you can get them on Kindle Unlimited as well. So Way with Darkness is on Kindle Unlimited, and then paperback, hardback, all that good stuff.
And you went and done the whole process of actually creating the book itself. This is not just a digital.
Yeah, I did all the graphic design for myself. If there's one thing I want to work on, it's I write a synopsis to save my life. So, got to work on that.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, Canva is your best friend, not
Yeah.
just for graphic design, but also for like marketing stuff for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that good stuff.
Amazing. Wow. Well, congratulations. That is very super, super impressive.
Thank you.
I love hearing that, and I hope you get on TikTok Shop soon.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not really pushing for that. Well, we'll see how it goes.
TikTok is sweeping the world by storm. And right now is like the greatest or biggest marketing social media platform.
It's into a lot of ads, unfortunately, like connecting with people. So maybe that's why I'm so big on community.
Mm-hmm.
But, I would love to not see all the pop-up ads all the time.
I'm sure soon they're going to come out with like a paid subscription where you don't have to see ads. I didn't know this, but Twitter just did that too.
Yeah. We don't even talk about Twitter anymore.
Honestly, I have Twitter, but I don't essentially know how to work Twitter. It's so weird.
Correct. No one does
I can't figure out what I was on there the other day, just like changing my bio or whatever, because I try to keep all my platforms uniformed. And I noticed that it had this button that says monetize on Twitter. I'm like, oh, okay, let me click it. So you can make money with your posts, but you have to pay to monetize your account.
So you have to pay them for them to pay you. Okay, that's
so essentially instead of like waiting to build a community, you just buy a verified badge or whatever, and you're making money.
So and that you don't even know if these people care or connect to you.
No, Twitter is pretty brutal. I feel like Twitter's known for just bullying people.
Honestly, it's like for the elite who just want to say their opinions.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a news thread.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
And give their little tantrum and then delete later. Like that's what it's for.
It is. It's definitely for the older audience as well. Because like my mom, she uses Twitter, but she's like a huge, news, politics. She's in all that old lady stuff.
It's the new Facebook.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I was getting to. It's like Facebook, and she knows how to work it. I'm like, okay, that's good for you.
I
had to make her own little profile picture because she didn't want a picture of herself. I can't remember what I made, but this was years ago. I set it up.
Or it's always pictures of a dog or a flower bouquet, and that's it.
Oh, it's funny. All right, so so we could buy your book on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And I do hope everyone reads my review. It's on Goodreads and now on Amazon.
It made me want my own book again.
So. I appreciate that. So I do hope everyone does give your book a read because I enjoyed it.
I'm so glad you did.
And so I do want to talk a little bit about you outside of writing. One of my questions is a little book related, but I'm curious, was you a book lover before you started writing?
Okay. I feel like I'm going to get canceled for this. I'm not a huge reader. So I guess I spent so much time in my younger years reading so many plays, classics. I'm a huge Shakespeare lover, which is going to be making a little bit of an appearance in my third book. Third, fourth. There's some Shakespeare elements in there. But I have never been a huge reader. I like to listen to audiobooks.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's really just because I like the dramatization of it. It's hard for me to sit down and read words and I don't know. But I'm not a huge reader. I'm trying to get more into reading. So that's what I'm saying. If there's indie authors out there that want to share their work, I would, because that's more interesting to me than the traditionally published books.
It's not the first time I heard an author say that they are not an avid reader, so I don't feel you're alone. I feel it's a little bit
writing. I'm I could sit down and write, or I could sit down and read. And what am I going to do? I'm going to write.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, in comparison to audiobooks and reading, I love reading a physical. Well, I read mostly on my Kindle. I actually stopped buying physical books because my toddler pulverizes them no matter where I put them. And it's like one of those things like, oh, if I'm sitting on the couch reading my book and then like I forget for a second because I put it down, I got to get something, and then she got it. And
oh no.
So I made like a pact or oath to myself last year. I have not bought a physical book in a year. I put all books in the storage.
A special one that's worth getting if you've already read it and it's really special or really special edition, that's nice. But like also, if you think about how many books can we really have?
Mm-hmm. Like, and I don't have a spare room to make a library. I mean, I love it. There is a difference, like reading a physical book versus a Kindle. Mm-hmm. Experience is different, but just like my lifestyle can't handle a physical book. So I'm strictly Kindle reader, which I do have to say, when you're like on Book Talk and trying to make content, it almost gives you no content to create because I have no books in the background.
I did find, I don't know if this is like, maybe I'm just new to this and everyone already knows about this, but you can like highlight passages on Kindle and then into a post.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's me discovering this for the first time.
That's one of my favorite things about Kindle is being able to highlight all of the stuff that you enjoyed most and then going to your highlight section and seeing them all there.
Well, no, it makes an actual post for you. Like you can post it to Instagram, like as a quote.
Oh, maybe I didn't know that.
I knew about the highlighting stuff. Awesome. But like, no, I just found this last night. You can like highlight a little passage and it turns it into a post for you. So you can post the quote and it puts like the author's name below it and like it turns it into a post.
So can you do it from the actual Kindle or you have to?
I think it has to be a Kindle that's like internet, like like kind of a smart Kindle. Or you can do like the one on your phone, like the free app.
Okay, yeah. So probably like the Fire tablet.
Yeah.
It's a Kindle, like it's a Kindle but also a tablet.
Yes.
Like a regular Kindle Basic. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna test it out. If not, I'll do it from my phone. But that's full. I didn't know.
Oh, good. Yeah, I like knew something.
Thanks. It's funny. All right. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. You had a lot of helpful insight on this episode.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I really have done great.
I just don't listen to anyone and do whatever you want because that seems to work for me.
I mean, it's good advice because most of the authors don't do that. They listen to everyone else except themselves, down to like cutting out a character, changing a character's name, changing the plot twist, and all of that. Like your publisher, publisher. They could dictate all of that. Yeah.
And I feel like that's when we lose your heart and soul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't let that.
Yes.
There's a great quote at the end of my book that kind of sums, I don't know if I can say it on here, but really, stick it to the council.
You could. The podcast is labeled explicit.
Oh, yeah, the council. We're not.
There you go. This podcast is not for children.
Awesome. Good to know. I would have said so many other things.
Oh, sorry. I think I'll make that a disclaimer, like from my episodes here on out.
That is the village of explicits from me.
That's funny. All right. So about getting back to getting to know you as a person. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Okay. I have been very fortunate. I have traveled a lot.
Nice.
In like Europe, but I haven't gotten to like anywhere in like the Netherlands or like Norway. I really would love to go up to Norway. I think that would be really cool. Mm-hmm. Just because I don't know. I feel like I have in my past, especially working at Disney, I am different international people, and I made a lot of friends from that area, and I got to experience them in our culture, but never got to experience their culture.
Nice.
And there's so many places that I have friends, and want to experience their culture as well. But that was always one that's like, oh, I think that would be like safe, because I'm not a big traveler. I don't like leaving home. So like that's safe enough where I could go and still feel at home and, be close to a culture that is completely different.
Nice. And do you have any hidden talents or hobbies you want your readers to know?
Writing is my hobby.
Well, yeah, that's a good hobby.
Like I said, I went to acting school, so I haven't really done a lot with that before, and I grew up dancing as well.
Nice.
Can sing a little bit, although I haven't in a while, so it might come out, I don't even know, scratchy, screechy, who knows. But yeah, anything performing wise, that's kind of my thing.
So just thought about something. When you worked in Disney, were you the characters?
No, so I worked in costuming. I started out as a costumer, so helping to prepare costumes, get people dressed, things like that, help to run the show. And later on, coordinated shows as a costumer. So that was basically doing like all the schedules, inventory, making sure that costuming side of things ran smoothly, and kind of a supervisor manager for those people on the show.
Wow.
Disney has like weird ways of like explaining, like weird hierarchies, if that makes sense. And then I also with them got the opportunity to do a lot of training. So training new people in costuming, but also training their customer service in when new cast members would come in as well.
Wow. Did you enjoy working for Disney? Or do you still work in Disney now or no?
I don't. So sort of when everything with COVID kind of happened, we didn't know, like if we would have jobs back and everything. And a lot of us, like me and my friends, kind of dispersed places just because, the nature of what was happening. But it was actually a good kick in the pants to leave. I think I would have stayed there almost forever, which was good and bad. It's kind of culty. I had great experiences there. I met some of the most fantastic people, but there's a lot of toxicity. So it's great for a little bit, and then it's time to move on.
I feel like working for Disney probably looks really well on people's resumes.
It does. Especially like with some of the things I did.
Right.
I got a lot of experience out of it. I learned a lot of great customer service, which also helps with a lot of jobs, things like that. But it definitely, there's a lot of stuff that came out of my time there that are in my books now. And we'll leave it at that.
Wow. Well, that kind of makes me shift my perspective. Not on Disney. I mean, I love Disney, although I know there's a lot of complaints on Disney. It's
for Disney rather than to go there, because it's completely different. Like that's two sides of a whole different thing, So working there is completely different from the experience you would get as a guest, and that's fantastic. But you kind of have to separate yourself from it.
That's sad.
It is what it is.
Do you get any Disney perks still?
Well, I still do have some friends that work there, so once in a while I do.
Nice. But you, like, being that you work there, they don't still give you, like, I don't know, perks or tickets?
No. Once you don't work there anymore, like you don't work there anymore.
Why am I thinking like it's the army?
It's not. They do not care. Once you're gone, you didn't have it.
Is this where you live now, Florida?
No, I'm actually in Ohio now, closer to my family.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I originally grew up in Ohio, moved to New York City for a while for acting, and then lived in Orlando for 6 years.
Okay, so you're back home.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Do you have a favorite all-time favorite movie or TV show? And is it Disney related?
Well, anything Disney, honestly. One of my favorite movies, I don't know if you can see it, Hocus Pocus.
I was going to ask you about your Twitter.
I was on the opening cast for Hocus Pocus Villain Spelltacular. It's one of the shows at Disney for their Mickey's Not So Scary. So that is a movie that's near and dear to my heart. But then also, have you ever heard of Monk?
I don't.
It's a detective show.
Oh, yes.
That's like one of my all-time favorite shows.
I know that's an old show. I remember it.
I know, right? I just started like rewatching it the other day because I've kind of had nothing to do with, laptop to write. So I've been like actually watching shows, and I started watching that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot how obsessed I was with this show. It's just so sweet and funny and gives you good vibes, even though it's a, detective murder.
Yeah, it took my brain a minute to like unlock that memory. I remember it.
Right?
All right. Are you a coffee or tea drinker or neither?
I'm both.
Nice.
It's on my mood. Coffee in the morning. I'm terrible in the mornings. Like, you don't want to talk to me in the morning. Coffee in the mornings, and then I like tea, iced tea, specifically. I went through this random phase where I like made my own teas and mixed my own teas. I like got it from this like company. I think it's San Francisco Tea Co. or something like that. They sell like wholesale, and I like get random bags of like different like flowers and leaves and stuff, and just like mix my own.
Nice. Do you have a concoction that you like to drink?
My favorite is hibiscus.
I knew it.
That's the air. I do black tea with it. And it's really good in iced tea as an ice. Really refreshing.
I had a feeling you say hibiscus because I bought the dried hibiscus flowers and I made tea out of it before. It was so good. And did you know you can eat the whole flower just like that?
Yeah. Good. Not good. I don't recommend that. They're better.
Oh, yeah.
They're a little musty. They're dry.
They are. All right. If you had come across a time machine, would you travel to the past or the future, and why?
I would look at that time machine and never get in it. Honestly.
You want to stay where you're at in the present.
I've learned we have to let go of the past.
Good job.
Also, I need indoor plumbing. It is what it is. And the future, like, I just feel like I wouldn't want to know. I think I have terrible anxiety, and I think that would just ruin me.
Very, very unique response to that question. Most people would say, past or, future.
Yeah. No.
I like your response.
I'm scared. Maybe like an hour into the future just to be like, I did it, but
yeah. Okay. Do you have any favorite music that you like to listen to or a band?
Girl, I listen to so much music. I'm very eclectic. Now, I will say disclaimer because I also have 2 tattoos of this artist. I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan.
Oh, yeah.
But I love everything from like Frank Sinatra to AC/DC to
love it.
Youngblood, like literally everything. I also like it's funny because people look at me and I'm like kind of blonde, bubbly, and I like to listen to like really like angsty, like punky rock stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, that's different for you.
I love it. You have such a diverse interest in different type of music. So that's really nice.
You gotta, because if you're gonna use music to write different scenes, you have to have.
Oh yeah. Have you created like a playlist like on Spotify or anything for people to listen to?
Yes, there is one. It's in my bio on TikTok.
Oh, nice.
It's not what you might think it would be. So I would take a look because it's not what maybe people are expecting.
Right. I'm gonna check it out. Did you? Obviously, I'm sure you created the playlist yourself, but was this a collection of music that you listen to while writing, or that you just feel goes well with the scenes?
It's a little bit of both. So a lot of the music that I use for my scenes, it might not make a lot of sense to the story, but it's about the emotion in the moment.
I love it.
Yeah. So some of them you're like, oh, that doesn't really make any sense for the story. But for certain specific scenes, it's that emotion that is invoked. So that kind of helped me to get drawn into that.
Nice. Well, we're definitely going to check out that playlist.
It's like kind of badass driving like down the road with like a leather jacket on kind of vibe.
I love those playlists. Those are my favorite. I know it's just a little off topic, but the ACOTAR playlists are my favorite.
I have not.
They like transport you back into a world of just fairy tales. It's so good.
Oh, that's cool.
It is, but it's just a random person. There's like a bunch of ACOTAR playlists, yeah, but they all have this kind of same vibe, and it is a little bit like rocky, a little bit dark, and just they're nice. So I'm gonna check yours out.
I'll have to check those out too. Yeah. I'm not a huge ACOTAR fan.
It's hard. I'm trying.
Whole series.
You read it?
I did.
Oh, and
I just couldn't get past all the bodily function.
No, I think I'm 3 books in.
Okay.
I just finished the Pink Wings and Ruin. Yeah. Okay. So I gotta read the blue book next, whatever that one is, the Frost and Starlight.
It's been a while. It's been a long.
So I'm doing the dramatized versions from Graphic Audio.
Yeah, cool. How is that?
They're really good because it really is like they describe. It's a movie in your ear.
Okay.
So actually, if you like audiobooks, I recommend looking at the Graphic Audio ones because they're really entertaining. I am a fan of Iron Flame and Fourth Wing and all that. I really enjoyed those ones. But I physically read Fourth Wing. I've done the dramatized audiobook of Iron Flame. So good. Yeah.
I think I read the audiobooks for both of those, but I don't think I got the dramatized one.
Oh, it's so good. It's like a whole cast and sound effects. It's amazing.
Because I think I had like already bought it before, and right before that came out, and I was like, okay, well, it is what it is.
It's good. And you know how like Iron Flame, the first part of Iron Flame, I was really like sad about because it was so like dragged out. Like we already been through this in Fourth Wing. Why are we going through this again? Why is Violet being like this? Where she was just like, didn't have nothing to do with Zadie. Like that part was like, it was boring. Yeah. But the dramatized version kind of made it easy because I started to read Iron Flame, the physical, and then I switched to the audio. So it made that part easier.
With some books, it's really hard for me to read just like those constant like inner long monologues of like, woe is me. Like this, I honestly, I've been known to just flip through pages to get to the part where they honestly, I'm tired. If you take more time, like 1, 2, 3 rule. If they 3 times, you don't get another one. I'm skipping your chapter.
That's so good. I am definitely struggling with ACOTAR though. I started to read this at the beginning of the year. And like I read the actual book of the first one. I think I didn't really enjoy it. It wasn't bad, and then I started doing the audiobooks of them. They're a little bit better, but it's just like the whole hype that Book Talk is giving it is not like, I hate it, and I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash, but it is not.
I get it. And I think you hit it right on the nail earlier. Like you were talking about how indie authors, their books are so much more interesting to you because it comes from such a deep emotional place, because these are people writing their heart and soul, whether it's about their life or something that like came from their experiences. And then you get these books like ACOTAR where these, I don't know, like the characters are all awful. Like I could not connect with one single person. I mean, maybe there was like a maid in there that I was like, all right, she's chill. Like
She did have a personality.
you can have an interesting story in the world, and if I don't connect to at least two characters,
it makes it hard to finish.
Because we talked about this. It's like about human connection and the human experience and storytelling. And if that goes out, what am I reading for?
It's definitely hard to connect with these characters. My problem is, I hate saying this because everyone loves ACOTAR, but it's very generic for me. And like, she's not the first and she won't be the last to write a fantasy book that has all the same stuff that every fantasy book has. But it's just like when you're reading ACOTAR, tell me if I'm wrong, you get the Beauty and Beast, you get Vampire Diaries, you get Twilight energy. It's like, and she wrote these books back when she was like 16.
Yeah.
So you can tell that she wrote these in the mindset of a 16-year-old who, when we were obsessing about all those things.
It definitely comes through. There's like a weird thing now. Like, I feel like every book I've read, at least traditional wise, the characters seem so juvenile. Like, there's no emotional like intelligence whatsoever, especially in the female characters. Like, I want to read about not just like badass like women, because I feel like we get caricatures of that. Like, I want real women with real emotions that know how to process their emotions and have gone through things and like know that, okay, though I'm struggling with this, like I already know how to work through this. Maybe that's why I love my book so much. Like, has to be so, like, I half the time I read these books and I'm like, okay, is she 14 or 53? She's either senile or so immature that she's still a child. Like, I don't know. Like, I just the gods, what is that book called? I just finished. The games gods play.
Oh, I didn't read those. Did you like it?
I enjoyed the story, but it was kind of like ACOTAR, where I was like, I didn't connect with any of the characters. I couldn't tell how old she was. I thought she was 14, and I thought I was reading a young adult book, and it wasn't. All of a sudden we got to Spice, and I was like, oh shit. Like,
that's definitely what ACOTAR is. You feel like you're reading young adult, but it's like not.
Yeah. So I wish there was a little bit more emotional intelligence in our characters.
Like, I don't know what it is, but when Farah gives me secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
I feel like I like her sisters better.
Oh God, I don't.
Then Farah. I don't. What?
I think all of them just get worse and worse.
Oh, do they? I have a feeling. Like, I'm not. Like, I would have ate this series up in a heartbeat, but like, it took me almost a whole year to only do 3 books, and it's on audio at that, and I listened to it like on 2 times speed.
Yeah, that's not good
for me.
It's time to get up.
Yeah. Yes. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the Mist and Fury, and I know that's probably going to be my favorite book out of this series. And Mist and Fury is more about wherever she kind of went to be with Rhysand and the whole like getting to know him. I enjoy that.
The second one, right? I think I liked the best too. I mean, I didn't love it, but like,
out of all of them, I have a feeling that's the only one I'm gonna like. I like out of all of them, but I'm trying. I just
can't understand why this, because I did like Rhysand. I just can't understand why this fantastic, dedicated, loyal man is like, yeah, this is the girl for me.
I don't know. It's not. I think it just has to do with she wrote it so young, and at that time, those were like, things that a 16-year-old would love to happen.
Yeah.
And like, I read the backstory of her because it went like 0 to 100. Who is this person? Who are these books? It came out of nowhere. And what I looked up is that she wrote them a long time ago on like a Wattpad or something like that.
Okay.
And just now during COVID is when her books got popular.
Really?
I did not know. Yes.
I definitely read them like way before that. Was I like niche? Did I like find it?
I talked to a lot of people who, she had them published before,
COVID,
because I guess like through Wattpad, she had them, they got like some recognition. She published them before COVID, but it was like they really weren't doing so well, is apparently what all the internet tells me, until COVID.
Because people were bored enough to sit in their house and read, and they want to escape, and there it is.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I just don't like the fantasy world. That fantasy world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever want to like tear down another author, because as I know I went through just with one book. I'm not like I have that much experience, but I know it's not easy to like share your heart and to like put a book out there. But like, also, I feel like, I don't know, if you're going to traditionally publish it and it's going to be that hyped up, like you're just going to have people's opinions. And it's what it is.
I know. I mean, it is impressive the amount of books that she was able to publish, and like how she has her own like multiverse. I mean, the goal is to read the rest of her books that hear like there's appearances from ACOTAR in like the other series, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's really impressive the world she created. That's for sure. Like I said, I liked the story, even though, like you said, it was a little generic. But I think for me, I really have to have better characters.
I think that's probably what is the issue there, is the characters are not connecting with them. Because I mean, then you think about it too, like Fourth Wing. I love Fourth Wing, and I can't wait for Onyx Storm to come out. But that's because I love the characters. Like I loved it, so many characters in that book.
And they were all, they actually had some sort of substance behind them.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
She really took her time to craft these characters and gave them a whole personality that you can connect with. The other in ACOTAR, it's just, I wish you would have spent a little bit more time crafting the characters.
Caricatures. And like, there's depth.
But I'm glad I finally got to talk with somebody about ACOTAR, because fun fact, before the Bookish Spell, I have another podcast called The Mild Exaggeration, which would get that one back on its feet. I made that earlier this year with my sister and my first cousin, who's technically just like a sister. Recreated. It's called The Mild Exaggeration, where we talk about our book reviews and what we're reading and how we over-exaggerate life itself as being mothers.
Cool.
Yeah, like we was posting pretty consistently on there. And we was always supposed to talk about ACOTAR, but we're on not the same page, me and my sisters. Like, they're very much in the Colleen Hoover world.
Okay.
No, they didn't. They're in they like thriller and just obsessed with Colleen Hoover. And I do enjoy fantasy. I love reading fantasy. So we're like so different. And we're trying, like every day we're like, okay, we're going to record a podcast. And we never happen. But maybe one day. But I just can't talk about It Ends With Us anymore. There's like 3 episodes about It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover.
Oh no. You gotta get there a little bit. Listen, we're talking about this today.
I try, but like
you try.
I tried. They're stubborn, you know. So then we got a little off topic. I do want to ask a couple more questions before we wrap things up, because I know I kept you for a while. Do you enjoy cooking? And if so, what's your go-to comfort food or favorite dish?
Do you like cooking? I don't do as much as I used to, but I actually learned a lot of recipes from my grandma, who's Italian.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, so my like biggest comfort food that I love to make is just like a really easy, I just do it in a slow cooker. It's a pot roast, or well, I guess it's a beef stew, I guess. I don't know. It's a beef stew, but it's like an Italian version. So you use red wine and tomato paste and orange juice.
Oh, nice.
And it's just like potatoes and carrots and like parsnips and beef, but it comes out in this like rich brown, like tangy sauce, like tomatoey. Oh, it's so good, and it's perfect for fall.
That sounds delicious.
And it's easy to make. Like you literally just throw it in.
That sounds good. I may have to give that a try.
Delish. It looks, I will say this, disclaimer, it looks funky because of the brownish color.
Well, but it is beef stew.
Yeah, I promise it's so good.
Sounds good. I'll definitely try that. It's one of my favorite things to do during the fall is make stews and soups.
You like, I was gonna say, are you a soup girly? I feel like most of the people I talk to that are readers are also soup girly.
It's funny. I did not know that. But yes, I am a soup lover. Like I will cook every single day during the cold months because I love cooking soup.
Yeah. See? Soup girly. Are you a tea girly too?
I like tea, but I am a coffee addict.
Okay. Going off the grid here. You're not fitting my mold now, so I don't know what.
No, I like tea, but it's just like when I drink it, I feel like it's not taking the edge off. Like I need coffee.
It's definitely an aesthetic drink.
Yes.
And then you down 3 shots of espresso on the side.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a super coffee addict. So I want to ask, actually, before I ask my next question, what is your favorite coffee to drink? Do you have like a type of brand or?
Yeah, actually, I just got obsessed with, I don't know if you ever heard of Bones coffee.
Mm.
It's kind of one of those ones that like kind of went viral on like Instagram because they're like always posting like ads and stuff, but it's called Bones coffee and they have like all these different flavors. But only flavored coffee I found that actually has like a rich taste and it's not just like watery. So my favorite is their Highlander Grande, and it's like a toffee caramel coffee. Oh my god, so good. And they have like, they're really interesting like pictures. They're like kind of spooky aesthetic, but it's really good. And they come in K-cups and regular coffee. So
can you buy it at the store?
I think you'd have to find a store that sells it. I don't know if they have it everywhere yet, but you can get it online. I think they also have TikTok shop. So there's that.
Oh, I'll look it up.
Yeah. And it's like affordable-ish. It's not like I'm going to buy a ton of this right now. It's like I'm going to buy this as a little treat for myself.
Yeah. I just recently got an espresso. Well, my mom got an espresso.
Ooh, you like it?
Yeah.
With the little pods?
Yes. And it's like every cup is frothy and foamy, and it's so like I like to have a dark, strong flavor coffee. Like I can't do that water. I can't. Yeah. I cannot do it. The Nespresso, oh my God, you feel like you're having a professional cup of coffee every single time. So
you're only over here.
Eggs and like the pods are super expensive. Like it's like $10 or $10.99 for 8 pods.
Honestly, everything right now is ridiculous, but
it's really, I mean, if you think of it like going, because this is the Starbucks brand one, going to get a Starbucks and then having home, it is essentially cheaper, but not when someone's drinking 2 and 3 cups a day. Sometimes having a bonus one at night. A box lasts me 2 days. But I have to say, it's delicious.
Espresso, and you're not sitting down to write your book?
I know, but I'm reading.
Once in a while, I'm gonna like flip into your DM and be like, "Hey, so what have you wrote lately?"
I have this story in my head since probably like my early 20s, and my niece. I always I'm the storyteller in the family. I would always tell the kids stories. Just make up random stuff on the top of my head. So my niece was staying with me, and I'm like reading just telling a story to her and my kids at the time about Peter Pan. Like it went on and on to where like me and her started writing it down, and now like I'm reading it and adding on to it, and I can't for the life of me find where I wrote that down.
Oh.
But I got so far into it, and I don't know. I mean, I tried writing it a little bit on Wattpad just to see where it goes. But I just want that copy to refresh my memory, because it wasn't like it was kind of dark. Like we went down this path. I was essentially trying to tell them a scary story, and somehow Peter Pan came to mind. And like I was in the story, it was like, oh, this little couple who want to have a child, but like they couldn't like bear children or whatever. And I'm like telling this to a group of like, 10 and under children.
Here's the tale. Scary future.
It's like I have kids, but I made it like the man, like the husband, was walking his home from work, and he stopped to get his wife's depression medication. It was like I was so like gruesome. Like the kids are hanging on to every word, and like he met this old lady who told him that he could make his wife have a kid and whatever. Essentially, what I was trying to say is that this old lady is Tinkerbell.
Okay.
Help them have a child, which is essentially Peter Pan.
Okay.
And I want to tell the story of how Peter Pan and Tinkerbell just kept
like how he got lost.
Well, essentially like how they just kept going on from life to life at life. Like they had, they live forever, so they have to keep like reborn. Like his soul had to keep being reborn, and she finds people to born him, to have him bring his soul. It was pretty dark and
interesting. And that's the first take of like that I've heard. Sounds like it's sticking with you. And even though you wrote, just scrap what you wrote and start writing fresh.
I think I'm gonna try, because it's like one of those like that stood with me, like stood with me all these years.
It stuck with you. It's obviously something that you are wanting to get out. So write it.
I need to, because I can't find. I'm pretty sure I wrote it on notes on an iPhone, but
you have a whole new perspective now, and like new outlooks and new like things that have happened to you and that are going to shape the story. So the idea will stick with you. It doesn't matter what you wrote in the past, right?
Yeah. I even went as far as doing research. Like you can legally rewrite Harry Potter. I can rewrite Harry Potter. Peter Pan stories. And actually it was a cool backstory. It's because the person who wrote Peter Pan sold the rights to the story to a children's hospital.
Okay.
And now it's considered public domain.
Okay.
But he sold the rights to a children's hospital so that all the proceeds, everything that he made off of the story went to this children's hospital. And I guess like he passed away, and now it's like considered a public domain where you can legally write about it. But I thought that was interesting. Like I done the research.
Yeah, a reincarnation story about the lives of Peter Pan is really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to like make up a story of like where it came from. Where did Tinkerbell come from aside from Disney's Tinkerbell?
Yeah.
So maybe one day I'll make a scary story for my children again.
I love that you were talking about like depression meds and like
I have 5 kids.
I'm just picturing you like, and then the CVS was closed.
I swear that was my actions. I'm a kid person, so I'm like super dramatic, and they stop in their tracks and they listen, So I have 5, and my older daughters are like 14 and 12 now. So back then they were like whatever it was, 5 and 6, and I had like a 9-year-old niece at the time. So I told them that story. But they were interested.
Hey. See, sometimes it's not about the story, it's about connecting and storytelling, and it's not about the content, it's about the juicy stuff, the connections in there.
Oh yeah, I was like super dramatic with it, I guess. And like my niece would go home and then she'll text me like, "What happened next?" It was like this big story. It's funny.
Write it for them.
I should. That's always something I think about, is I want to write it and dedicate it to my kids and my niece.
Even do a story and start it there and see how it grows.
Yeah, maybe one day.
You're gonna do this.
Okay, thanks. I need the motivation. All right. Speaking of Peter Pan and Harry Potter and ACOTAR and all these, are you a part of any fandoms? TV shows, movies, something like that?
For a while, Supernatural.
Really? I've never watched it.
I love Supernatural. I love Harry Potter. Obviously, like I love the magical worlds, and kind of story has a little bit of Harry Potter vibes too. I'm a Slytherin. If that makes any difference.
I don't know. I feel like my house keeps changing from a Gryffindor to a Ravenclaw.
Huh. Like on a introspective day, you're a Ravenclaw, and like on a brave day, you're a Gryffindor.
Yes, definitely.
I think we all have little bits and pieces of each house. Otherwise, we'd be really boring people.
Yeah, definitely.
And then there's I'm just a Slytherin.
I love it. Oh, that was funny. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and how would you use it?
That's a hard one. Because my instinct is to like read people's minds, but it would have to be specifically like I don't want to hear it all the time. I just want to hear it when I want to hear it. But then like I also feel like that's a terrible invasion of people's privacy. But I guess it just if I'm gonna have a superpower, I guess I think I would probably be like a supervillain, and it is what it is. Like I'm not the hero in this. So
Right? I like it.
Really gray. We'll go with that.
Yeah, those are the best characters.
Yeah. They have
to say nice guys last.
Right? Hey, like I literally wrote a love story about a guy that was in prison for murder. So
there you go. I love it. All right, Zoe, I know I took up a lot of your time.
Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed our talk. It was a blast. And I hope everyone gets their copy of Away with Darkness and get to read your beautiful work.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the series for sure.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Once I get my shit together.
Yes, definitely. All right, Zoe. Well, it's good talking to you. I do hope to talk to you again soon, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah. Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Bookish Spell. I hope you enjoyed our magical bookish journey together. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to leave a review. It really helps. I'll be back next Wednesday with more enchanting stories and author insights. Until next time, keep the magic alive in your hearts and on your bookshelves.